Just a little bit of background. I'm only been appointed at the school for 6 months, come out of retirement. So I'm going to just talk about where we're at the moment and give some background. Then Helen will talk about what the journey the school's made. I wasn't there when Raymond came out, so I can't talk about that. I can just talk about where we are at the moment. As you can see with that first slide, aim high, reach for the stars. The school's got all the right paraphernalia. We've got a school flag, school song. We sing it every week at assembly. So we take a lot of pride at one level. But at another level, we have some difficulties. We've moved past the slide there of the beautiful school building, but looks beautiful. It's a 1928 building, double storey. It's non-functional. Principal's office, to go anywhere for the office or the principal's office to go out, you must go outside the building. Walk down some verandas, up some stairs to actually visit a classroom. So it's not functional in lots of ways, and one of the things that makes it difficult is in many schools, if you hear some positive school noise coming out of a classroom, you can wander in, join in, reinforce it, support what's happening. If you hear some negative noise, just the mere presence, being able to drop in. Don't have to do anything. Those little subtle things that we do as teachers, as principals, as leading teachers, APs, we can just drop in and the children can change their behaviours. But because our building is 1928, upstairs, very dysfunctional. We're a small school of 90 students, 23 of them grade 6. So when you stop and think of that, prep enrolment for the last 10 years has been declining, but we've been hiding that a little bit because our figures haven't declined as quickly as that would appear, because we've been getting children in at grade 3, grade 4 level, and it sort of hides it. So there are a lot of children that haven't actually come through our Prep 1-2 program, and they've come because we've been seen for a while as a school of last resort. And one of the conditions I put upon taking up the enrolment focus was I said to the R&L that we are not going to accept any children from outside our immediate area for the rest of the year. Can you support me in that? And in the first month I had 4 people ring up, parents, but you must take the child. The principal doesn't understand him. Well, neither will this principal. And I was lucky that Region supported us in that. So we have been for quite some time getting some children with behavioural difficulties and severe behavioural difficulties. I was listening to Debbie talk about Broady. I visited Broady last week, and just the open space. We, with that 1928 building, our upper school children are actually spread apart to try and give them a little bit more space, but what has actually happened is we aren't able to support each other as teachers, and so it hasn't worked well. And hearing Debbie talk about the open spaces and things, and actually seeing it in practice, I think it's really important that we support that and see that as a way to go. Student family occupation has declined slightly over the last 4 years, and the reason I mention that is because our Prep 1s and 2s are coming from a higher socio-economic group, and there's a regeneration going on in Preston itself. So at that stage they're coming, but when I've actually analysed the data, we're losing a lot of those at grade 3 and 4, but we're getting these others in and extras. So it's sort of 2 different parts of the school, if you can think of it. Our lower grades really functioning well, higher grades having great difficulty. 80% of families receiving EMA, nothing unusual about that. 36% of students, we don't have all those languages there before, but we have enough. And it makes a difficulty in being able to communicate with parents. And we have to work with parents, and that makes it really difficult when you haven't got a common language. I have enough trouble with English without any others. We've got 4 students receiving funding for D&I. Notice 3 of them are behaviour related, 1 at level 4, so reasonably high, all in the grade 6 area. So the culture of the school is a real problem, because with 23, that's over a quarter of your kids in one grade, it's causing some great difficulty. I've talked about the gradual decline. Enrolment got to a stage where we've actually recommended to close the school for next year. So that's not a merger, that's a closure. Pretty unusual to go through there, and it hasn't been formally accepted, but it appears that that's the case, that the school will close. And we've been working very hard in the time I've been there in placing children in other schools and helping parents go through this. So it's a real challenge with children's behaviour at the moment, because they're on tenterhooks. They've all got a new school to go to, and they're not going with the same friends. And some are going, I think I got 22 schools on the list of where I'm exiting these children to. So 89 kids, we've lost 1 since then. So 89 kids, 22 schools. You can see that parents are looking around, and it's the rights of parents to choose school, and they're looking for different things. That's there. Oh, sorry. Can you take us back one? Change of leadership. 5 principals in 3 years. I'm the 3rd principal for the year. Makes it difficult. So leadership. Consistency. It's really important for a school to go well, and it's obvious that this change, doesn't matter when we talk about things, we aren't using the same language. We aren't using a common language, and I heard that before, and I'm thinking that is so true. We need to have a common language when we're talking about these sort of things. I've come in, and one of our grades, it's not Helen's, with the 23 in the grade 6, but one of our grades has had 6 different teachers in one term. 2 people lasted less than 3 days. Experienced teachers, they weren't graduates. After 3 days, they said no to Joe and said they wouldn't come back. So it's been a challenge. Transient students have brought our behavioural problems into the school. It says grade 4, 5 and 6 there, but it's when you look at the history, grade 3 to grade 6. And because a school developing a culture, it's really important that you put the culture around the children that come in. But because we've got so many coming in, they're bringing their culture, and it's hard to get the common language, get the common understandings, and so each year it looks as though we start from scratch again. We have a limited support staff. There's no AP, there's no welfare teacher. There was no office person when I came in. The school council president resigned before I came in, taking his kids out. So we have a few challenges and different things. And each teacher has to take on many roles, and because we're a bit disparate in the sense that each of our grades have been separated, and I can understand the thinking that goes behind it, but what has happened is we've actually ended up becoming very independent in our classroom, and they're our problems within our classroom instead of our problems as a school. And so people have sort of steered away. Yard duty, yeah, instead of being proactive, we've looked the other way, I think. 90 kids, you should be able to sort of get around them pretty easily. No, just being proactive, sort of things like that.